May profits be upon you. Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. In today's video, we're going to go over the US dollar index, the Euro USD, Euro futures, pound futures, Aussie dollar futures, New Zealand dollar futures, CAD futures, Canadian dollar, all right, and Swiss franc futures and Japanese yen futures, all right. We'll also take a sneak peek at the US dollar CAD as opposed to the CAD futures and the US dollar Swiss franc future Forex broken pairs and US dollar JPY. All right. Just quick looks because they're the inverse of the futures chart. All right. But let's take a look at the calendar first. And let me also go over something. Last week wasn't easy. All right. Last week was not easy. You'll see it in the futures, the futures charts, where I'll show you the weekly candle, and you'll see that it was a small, indecisive candle for a lot of markets, which indicates consolidation, which indicates indecision. All right. And but this week looks like we're going to get the kind of steady, practical, tradable juice in as far as energy and what's the word I'm looking for, liquidity, that we are more accustomed to. I'll show you what I mean when we get to the charts. But as far as the news, on Monday, nothing for US dollar. No news there, but JPY, the yen, CAD have elections. It's a holiday for the yen. Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday through Tuesday are tradable days. Lots of good juice coming into the market. The Bank of Japan has the interest rate decision to make. I mean, this is going to be good. All right. Thursday might be a day where we might see the markets kind of do some wonky stuff. And it's not the greatest day to trade. You'll see that there's a number of bank holidays, and but there's still some US dollar news coming in. But the problem with Thursday is that the next day is non-farm payroll, and the US dollar will definitely be impacted, which means the rest of the markets are going to be impacted, whether directly or indirectly, because everything's based off the global currency. Global currencies are based on U.S. dollar movements and whatnot. And if U.S. dollar is weak, then you can expect strength. The other currencies to take advantage of U.S. dollar weakness, and vice versa. When the U.S. dollar is strong, you can expect weakness to show up in the majors and the markets, the cross pairs indirectly. Yeah. So let's look at the markets now. I want to tell you straight up that last week, if we're looking at a weekly chart. You know what? Before we get to that, let me show you something. This is a monthly. All right. You can see we just took, just like I said last week, we just took out all these lows for liquidity. All right. I'm expecting a pullback of sorts, and we're getting that. All right. But why would it pull back? What is this? This is an old monthly bullish fair value gap, right? Is that the reason why? Yeah, it could very well be, because I always make note that old FVGs and order blocks and stuff like that, the older ones tend to act as speed bumps, so that when price gets to it, we get a reaction. Not necessarily a reversal, but it's a short-term move, a short-term play, a reaction. Okay, but there's something else that this is overlapping. Let me go to the yearly chart, and you will see that we have a high, a low there, a high there. We have a bullish fair value gap that price has found its way into. I'm looking for a two candle return turnaround here, with the possibility that price will turn bullish from this level. Now, this is a yearly chart, and that's not something I would base a trade on, but it would be something that would help me, that would inform my decisions going forward, right? We can expect some kind of bullish movement after price takes out important liquidity lows, the sell side liquidity below this low and this low. All right. Hope everybody got that. Mentioned that last week. I won't go too far with it this week, but what we have here is a bearish weekly fair value gap. I said that I'm expecting price to pull back up into that, as that will be the internal range liquidity, and we have just taken out these lows, which is external range liquidity. So an internal liquidity play is what I'm expecting, and I'm expecting after that to get some kind of reaction, but we'll see what happens there, if we're going to continue lower or price fights it, pulls back, protects that low, and then goes higher. So we get a 1, 2, what is it? 1, 2, 3 candle, a 3 part, pullback. Okay, so if we can go here to the daily, what we can see is last week I told you that this was this is the way our week ended. Now you don't see the Friday candle up here because of the holiday and all, but price moved up. Price moved up like I thought it would, and it kind of got a little stuck there. But I do believe that price will eventually hit that mark, and we'll see what happens there. But that means short-term bullishness. So what does that also mean? It means that in the other pairs, the majors, the Euro USD, the Pound USD, the Aussie Dollar USD, New Zealand Dollar USD, Canadian Dollar, the US Dollar Canadian Dollar, the US Dollar Swiss, and the US Dollar Japanese Yen, all right, we should be going the opposite way. All right. If there's weakness, if there's strength, which I'm talking about short-term strength here. Short-term strength up until we hit that bearish fair value gap. I'm looking for the opposite in the others. Let's go to the euro. All right. The euro, if we go to the weekly chart, we can see clearly that we have that bullish fair value gap. What am I looking for? I'm looking for price to pull into that bullish fair value gap, one candle, maybe two, and then up, so that we can hit this high. This high was made on, how come it's not writing? I'm looking for it to write. Why won't it write? Okay, it won't get off of that. All right, there you go. All right, I'm looking for this high to hit. This is like the 10th. And if you go to the US dollar index on this broker, TVC, it shows that we hit that. We're trading below that July 10th low, right? But if we go to the futures chart on ICEUS, all right, ICEUS, all right, we can see that we did not hit that low, just like we didn't hit that high on the Euro USD. Didn't quite make it. All right, very, very close, but we didn't quite make it. But do I think that's going to be a draw? What do you call it? Regular relative equal highs? Yes, I do. I do believe that we're going to eventually hit that. All right, but before we do, on the Euro USD, I'm talking about this bullish fair value gap on the weekly is where I'm looking for price to hit and turn around it. That's it. It's that simple. If we go to the daily, you can see that we almost hit it. We almost hit it on the daily on Wednesday. I believe that was, no, Actually, this is a Monday candle. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is how Friday went. It stayed within the previous candle high and low. All right, I don't, that's it's not a good candle, but because it doesn't give direction. But I do believe because it closed within the range of the candle that preceded it, I do believe that we should see some kind of continuation down into this weekly fair value gap in order for price to turn around. Yes, that's where I'm at. I hope everybody understands that. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section, please. And do not forget to hit that like button. If we go to the pound futures, all right, which is actually pound USD, because when you trade the pound, the euro, and the rest of them on the spot, all right, you are trading against the USD. Hence, you are trading pound USD, euro USD. Okay, all right. If we go to the weekly, you can see this very same bullish weekly fair value gap, right? Chaw. I said chaw. All right. That's a bullish weekly fair value gap. All right. Completed. What I'm looking for is price to continue down into that fair value gap and use it to go higher. That's all. It's that simple. Nothing complicated about it. That's why I like the market going forward, because it's starting to show like almost normal, okay, without all the crazy candles and the crazy back and forth and consolidations and stuff. All right, so we got the weekly here. All right, if we go to the daily, what am I looking for up close? All right, you see these lines, you see all this mess. All right, this is the previous weekly low. I'm looking for price to hit that previous weekly low. All right, you see this is Friday's candle. Stayed within the range of the previous candle, all right, which was Thursday. All right, and it's not telling us much. What I'm looking for, this looks very like a consolidating indecisive market. What I'm looking for is price to attack these lows here. All right, because that looks like low liquidity, uh, uh, just low resistance points that price could hit in while it's heading towards this weekly fair value gap. So I'm looking for price to continue down, stab into this weekly fair value gap, sweeping this liquidity, and continue on using it to continue up higher. That's it. All right. We've taken out that high from September 2024. We've taken out that high. All right. And I'm looking for prices to go higher up here, but that's further away. We're not going to worry about that right now. But I do believe that we'll be heading up towards 1.400. I'm looking for that. But we got to use this to go higher first. All right, Aussie dollar. If we go to the Aussie dollar, you see on the weekly. Wow, look, another bullish weekly fair value gap. All right, we can use that same one to go higher. I'm looking for price to tap into it and move higher, just like in the other pairs. If we go to the daily, we can see that the previous weekly low is sitting right here as a draw on liquidity. You can see that Friday's candle took out the high here, took out the previous candle's high, but closed within the range of that candle. I'm looking for some continuation to the downside and then using that fair value to go up, that fair value gap on the weekly to go higher. That's it. It's that simple. Okay. Uh, New Zealand dollar, no different. Same thing. Boom, boom. You can see it very clearly on the weekly. There is a weekly fair value gap there, and it's on its way down into it already. You can see that the close relative to the high and low of the previous candle is well within the range of that candle. I'm looking for continuation down into the weekly fair value gap so that we can go up. All right. Why? Again, it's because I'm looking for short-term strength in the US dollar index to go into that weekly fair value gap and then turn around. All right. It may take all week. It may take all week, but I believe that we're going to hit that, and that we're going to see how the market reacts to that weekly fair value gap. All right. So let's continue. Let's go to the CAD, and on the weekly we have a weekly fair value gap here. All right. Price is already uh, giving us a down close candle on Friday. I'm looking for price to continue down into this fair value gap in order to go higher. We don't necessarily have to touch it in order to turn around, but it's there, and I believe this is the draw. All right, we've already taken out this high. I believe this is the draw on liquidity for the week. All right, we can continue to just continue up into um, that draw on liquidity here. And I'm just looking for prices to continue higher. If we go to the daily, uh, I'm looking for that pullback below these lows. All right, as a sweep of liquidity and then higher. That's what I'm looking for in the CAD. All right, if we look at the US dollar CAD, I'm looking for just the opposite. We're going to go see that short term strength, and then I'm looking for price to turn around here. We have an intersecting low here as well. You know, I like to see that. I don't know why it's not intersecting. All right, right there. So I do like that as a market structure shift to the downside, and we're still trading below it. Let's see if we can get price to push up higher and go lower, just like in the US dollar index, right? If we go to the Swiss franc, obviously we're going to be looking at the same way. Swiss franc is the only one that's actually tapping into that weekly fair value gap already. Boom. All right. I'm looking for a white candle after this that pushes up higher from outside, from to the upside, where we can attack that buy side liquidity right there. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. All right. That doesn't give us any more information on the daily other than we are trying to get about. Look at that. Look at that Friday candle. Look how indecisive it was. It was like pow pow. We're ready. Price could continue higher from current levels. That's what I'm looking for. All right, and the U.S. dollar Swiss, um, uh, just the opposite. All right, my thing is stuck or something here. All right, so I'm looking for downward action from this area here. You can see on the daily that we've swept the highs of Thursday and Friday, Wednesday and Thursday, and I'm looking for price to continue down from these levels. All right, we may dance here a minute and then continue down. All right, if we go to the Japanese yen, all right, not very different either, because there is, oh, that's right. The Japanese yen is already tapping into that weekly fair value gap, which I like to see. Okay, you're going to give me trouble. All right, let's try this over here. There you go. There's the weekly fair value gap. I'm looking for price to see if we get a bullish response from here. All right. Um, uh, the next candle is going to be pivotal in my opinion. On the daily, you can see that we've tapped into it. I'm looking for a bullish candle to come up out of here, uh, to come up out of the fair value gap, and we'll see if that's what we get. You know, that's what I'm looking for. If we look at the US dollar JPY, you can see. Remember this line I drew last week? All right, I said this was the Friday candle. I was looking for price to come down and push higher into this weekly fair value gap here, and that's exactly what happened. All right, can I get you to disappear there? My internet is acting weird, man. All right, so I'm gonna erase that. All right, erase that, and I'm just looking for prices to give us what we need in order to come down further, because I'm looking for more strength in the Japanese yen than the U.S. dollar. So that's it. I hope you enjoy the video, and do make sure you hit the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.